guys, welcome back to the S.U.R.E Parenting Podcast, where every mom deserves to feel sure of her parenting. I'm your host, Sammy Bell, creator of S.U.R.E Parenting and author of S.U.R.E Parenting Building Blocks to Create Their Best Childhood. Here on the podcast, we address the issues that make moms question themselves or their kids, and we discuss creative solutions that meet the needs of each unique mother and child. Let's dive in.
Welcome back, mamas. Today I wanted to talk about a word that I consider to be a swear word in S.U.R.E Parenting, and that word is should. It's such a common word. How can it possibly be a swear word? Well, whenever we say the word should, we are giving away our power. We're adopting a set of beliefs that isn't going to serve us. And we see this very commonly with women about themselves, but we see this a lot with parents about their children too. So with women, we see, I should be thinner, or I should have my makeup done, or I should do this, or I should do that. And the thing is, none of those things is wrong to want, but should isn't empowering. Should means there's something wrong with you for not having those things, and there's not. If you want to be thinner, by all means, make that happen. If you want to wear your makeup every day, by all means, make that happen. But should means you don't want it. It means somebody else says that you are at a deficit because you didn't meet some standard of theirs. And that's why I hate the word should. So how does that apply to children? Well, we have a pretty fair understanding that babies are incredibly needy. They need help for literally everything. But we have these arbitrary lines in the sand, and that's when we start introducing the word should. Babies should be sleeping through the night at 6 months old. Not true. Babies should be eating 3 meals a day by 9 months old. Not necessarily true. Depends on the kid, right? My kid should be walking by 12 months old. Not true. But these shoulds cause an immense amount of stress. Then you get into the toddler years and you say things like, well, he should be able to share by now. Nope. He shouldn't. He's doing the best he can. She should be able to not make a mess when she's playing with kinetic sand. I told her to keep it on the table. She shouldn't be making a mess. What's the purpose of that word should there? It's strictly to give you something to be angry about. That's its only valuable purpose in that sentence. Rather than saying, I'd really like her to not get the kinetic sand on the floor, how can I help her to meet that expectation? Or saying, man, I wish she could keep it all on the table. Clearly she can't because it's all over the floor. We throw that should in there, and then we give ourselves something to be angry about. When my second child wasn't walking yet at 12 months, I spent so much time being anxious and worried and fearful. For what? He walked when he was good and ready. Now, are there milestones of development? Absolutely. Are there times when you should seek a professional's advice because your kiddo isn't hitting the milestones by a long shot? Sure. Those things don't mean that there's a value to the word should. The way you change that sentence is, most children are walking by 18 months. Since my child isn't, I'm going to look into this a little more and see if there's anything else that I need to be doing other than letting him develop and waiting. Great. Being proactive, taking steps to find solutions, excellent idea. But sitting and stewing in worry and fear based off of a should? Nah. No thanks. I'll let that one go. When we're looking at our kids' behavior, I hear so often the phrase, he should or she should know better by now. And it's just not true for two reasons. One, knowing does not equal doing. You know what the speed limit is. You do not always follow the speed limit. That's just human nature. For two, expecting a child to prioritize your wants over their needs, it's an exercise in folly. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be irritated if that's what you're doing on a daily basis because they can't. They are developing as they should be, and their needs are going to win out over your wants. That's just how it works. You might not see any reason that they need to splash in the water, but they do. They're getting sensory input from that activity. They're learning about science and cause and effect and matter and volume and so many different aspects of the world by doing that activity. All you might see is a mess. That's fair. That's fine. You can create that exercise in a way that doesn't cause such a mess. Say doing it in a bathtub instead of on the carpet. But the idea that they just shouldn't do it, it's not helpful to you. They are doing it. Let's focus on what is instead of what should or shouldn't be. When we focus on what is, then there's a problem to solve. We can look at what your needs are. You need to not have moldy, mildewy carpet. Excellent, that's a valid need. Well, they need to splash. So how can you both get your needs met? Like I suggested, you could do it in a bathtub or in a shower or outside. You could do it in the sink. You can do it with a small amount of water. You can do it, in lots of different ways. I despise the fact that my 8-month-old is constantly wanting to get into the dog water and dog food. But me just being angry and saying she shouldn't do it does not accomplish anything. It just doesn't. It creates tension and frustration in my relationship with my daughter. No, thank you. Instead, I take responsibility for that. I am the one that doesn't want her in the dog food and dog water. I find it disgusting. She is learning and developing. She's doing exactly what she's supposed to do, right? And I find that they're meeting their needs. Everything they do, every behavior that they have is in some way meeting their needs. So instead of just stubbornly holding on to our arbitrary shoulds, I suggest we figure out what need is being met and find another way to meet that need that also meets our need. Um, realistically, I need to find a way that my 8-month-old cannot access the dog food and dog water because she's entirely too young to expect her to have impulse control. It's just not realistic. I've told her not to touch it, 10 million times because it's a daily thing, a couple times a day, and I haven't yet found the solution. Doesn't mean there isn't one. It also doesn't mean it's her responsibility to somehow have the impulse control to just not touch it. It's shiny, it's stainless steel, and it's fun. Of course she's going to touch it. I remove her, put her down somewhere else to play. Ideally, I'd be able to gate off the kitchen, but in an open concept, that's not really a thing. Ideally, I'd be able to put the food and water somewhere else. I haven't found a solution to that. A more realistic solution, I guess, is going to be putting it up and only putting it down when we're feeding her and giving the dog food and water. Maybe putting a water bowl outside so that she can get water there too. But these are problems for the adult to solve. These are not problems to make the child solve. I would love for my children to not get kinetic sand all over the kitchen floor, but it's not realistic. They don't even know it's happening. When I pause and just watch them playing, they have no clue that they're even doing it. They're just playing and it gets all over the floor. Well, here's the thing. Really, what I want is to not have green kinetic sand in my carpet, right? That's my need. I feel like it damages my carpet. It concerns me. I don't want it on the couch. Therefore, they can play with the kinetic sand at the dining table where it's going to get on the tile, and then they can sweep it up. They can still play. I'm not inhibiting them playing with this material that is a great sensory input for them. And my needs are met because I'm not getting the kinetic sand all over the carpet and the couch. Additionally, we bought some plain old brown, normal colored sand because it isn't neon green or neon pink and purple. And that color isn't as concerning to me as far as staining the carpet. Now, I will say, for anybody wondering, I have been able to vacuum it up out of the carpet without much of an issue. But we have had several, what's the stuff called? It's not putty, slime. Slime. Oh, the bane of my existence. So my kids love slime. And of course it got on the carpet because they're children and they cannot yet be that aware to where they can prevent it from ever getting on the carpet. And also accidents happen. Accidents happen to my husband and I too. I just shattered a glass a couple days ago. That was fun. Certainly didn't mean for that to happen. Certainly was irritated that happened. But nobody punished me for that happening. I simply had to clean up the glass, right? So slime got on the carpet in our old house and ruined the carpet. And by ruined, I mean that it was a permanent stain and it was not able to be removed. It like melted into the carpet. It was awful. Of course, I didn't catch it right away. I didn't realize the lid was just barely not on this little Halloween slime. And so it oozed out of the little crack in the lid and slid down off the table into the carpet, and it pooled there and it like melted into the carpet. It was ridiculous. Well, the thing is, that's not my child's responsibility, really. Yes, I can ask them to play with it on the table, which they did. I asked them to put it away, which they did. But having the lid perfectly on didn't happen, and that just happens sometimes. You know, we're imperfect. So me saying they should have known better does nothing. It doesn't help me, it doesn't help them. So instead, I say, what can I do differently? Because this doesn't work for me. The answer is, I don't allow slime in my house. That might not be the answer for everybody. Maybe you can play with slime in the bathroom only. Maybe you can play with slime outside only. I did try that first. The slime instead oozed through the decorative like holes on the table and down into the rocks and left us with a patch of neon pink rocks, which is not aesthetically pleasing, in case you're wondering. That didn't work for me either. So realistically, my answer is no slime in the house. And it's my house, and I'm allowed to make that rule, and I'm allowed to have that boundary. And I don't have to be mad at the kids or punish the kids for these accidents happening. I simply have to find a solution. Now, they have the sensory need to squeeze and to, run their fingers through things. So how can they meet that? They can meet that with the kinetic sand. They can meet that with oobleck, which is cornstarch and water. Super simple, very much a similar activity as far as squeezing and running your fingers through things. And very easy to clean. Very, very, very easy to clean. In addition, Play-Doh works fine as long as they do it at the dining table where it lands on the tile and I can sweep it up, or they can sweep it up. So there's a way to find solutions that meet both people's needs. But no matter what the situation is or the frustration is, sitting there saying they should or they shouldn't isn't helping. It's not helping me. It's not helping them. It's simply adding frustration to the equation. When my 6-year-old is being, quote, mean to my 5-year-old, and we'll do a whole other podcast on mean and bullying and words like that. When I perceive his tone or his actions to be mean, I can say he shouldn't treat his brother that way, but that's not helpful. He is treating his brother that way. So why? What is happening? How is this meeting his need right now? What precipitated this action or this behavior, and what can be done to find a solution? So when I think about it that way, and I look at this child as having a need that he's trying to meet, and this other child as having a need that he's trying to meet, and we focus on a solution, there's no reason to throw should into the equation. It doesn't matter that he shouldn't be mean. He is being mean right now. So why? What problem is there that we can solve together? And that removes the need for the word should. Oftentimes, the other problem I have with the word should is that it is often associated with a completely impossible standard. I should always be calm. Really? Really? You should always be calm as a parent? I highly disagree. If your house is on fire and you've got to get 3 kids out of the house before they burn alive, you better not be calm. You better be full of adrenaline and cortisol and running as fast as you can and doing incredible, crazy feats to get your kids out alive. You better not be calm, right? If somebody's threatening your child, you're going to be calm? No, you bet you're not. So, this idea that you should always be calm, it's not even true. And it's also impossible because we're human too. And as much as I'd like to say that I'm only ever elevated when there's an emergency, nope. Sometimes I just haven't eaten in way too long and I'm cranky and irritable. And I snap at my kids and I hear myself and I realize, don't like that. But there's a difference between I don't like how I sounded right now and, oh, I shouldn't yell. Because with that should comes shame and this yucky feeling, this disempowering feeling, instead of, whew, I did not like that, which immediately leads you into problem solving. What am I going to do about it? I did not like how that sounded. I'm going to A, apologize, and B, analyze myself. Why did I sound so sharp and snappy? Why do I have such a rude tone right now? Well, I'm starving. My blood sugar is low, and when my blood sugar is low, I sound like a beast. Sorry, just a fact. So, if I know that, then I can problem solve. One, I tell my kid, hey, I apologize. That's not how I like to talk to you. What I meant to say was this. I'm going to eat because I think that's why I'm so grumpy right now. Easy peasy. I've shown them not only how to take responsibility for their own actions and tone and how they treat people, but also how to self-reflect, find the problem, and fix the problem. And that's what we do in this house. I'm not going to say to my 6-year-old, you shouldn't talk to me like that. I'm going to say, maybe to him, maybe to myself, why is he talking like that? It's a much more productive question. I mean, should isn't even a question. So why allows you to at least ask the question, because then you can find the answer. When I think, my whatever-year-old, my 3-year-old should be potty trained by now. Says who? I remember when Xavier, my oldest, was quite young. I had a couple of friends whose kids seemed way more interested in the potty than he was. And it caused me so much grief. I was so worried that I was doing something wrong. And we actually, for a completely unrelated reason, had to visit a pediatric urologist. And he says to us, why are you worried about this? He's 18 months old. Or I think he might have been 2 at that point. He's 2. And I said, well, this person, they're 18-month-olds were able to do this. And he goes, yeah, no, that's not realistic. Now, for one person was doing elimination communication, so completely different strategy, and it's meant to be incredibly young when that takes hold, right? 2, the other person, in my mind, was saying like, oh yeah, they're potty trained, but really the kid was able to pee on the potty a couple of times during the course of an multi-hour play date. That doesn't make them potty trained. So I was just viewing the whole thing inaccurately anyway. And also, different kids have different needs. So what this pediatric urologist told me was, for one, focus on the kid you have, right? For 2, I expect that he won't be really interested until 3 or 3.5. Let it go. And I was shocked to hear this, but this man was a pediatric urologist for 23 years at the point that I met with him. He is one of the best in the city at least, if not the state. And that's what he said. And it really put me in my place a little bit. It really reminded me that my should was causing so many unnecessary negative feelings in myself. It was causing me anxiety. It was causing me to put pressure on a 2-year-old. It just wasn't necessary. And there are people who swear by every method out there. We tried them, every single one. They didn't work because he wasn't ready. You want to know what did happen? I finally let it go, stopped asking him, stopped pushing him, let him watch me go anytime that he was around. I would, make the mention like, oh, I'm going to the bathroom. And one day we ran out of his size of diapers. We used to get the big boxes at Sam's Club. And again, back to the problem solving, right? I have always had this language with my kids, as to my recollection. I'm sure always is an inaccurate word, but for as long as I can remember, I've had this problem solving mentality, at least sometimes. So I say to him, oh no, the box is empty. Your diapers are gone. What are we going to do? And he says, buy more. And I said, oh, that's one answer, but I don't think I'm going to do that. What else could we do? And he goes, I guess I'll have to go in the potty. And I said, okay. He never had an accident. He was 3.5 years old. He was finally ready, and he never had an accident. With the exception of during a growth spurt or two, he had an accident in the middle of the night. But during the day, that kid never had an accident. He was ready. And that made the difference. Was it different than his peers? Yes. But did all of my should worries help anything? No. Did they make him ready sooner? No. Did they make me somehow better able to teach him or make him do these things? No. And they never have. Wherever you are using the word should, I invite you to change your language, and it will change your attitude. If your thought is, my child should blah, 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 change your language. What are they doing? What is happening? Because that's your reality. Now, if you don't like that reality, that's fine. Let's problem solve. Schedule a call. bit.ly/callsammy, SAMI. Free call anytime. Let's find solutions. There's always solutions. The solution might be to wait. The solution might be that your kid's doing the best that they can right now and just choosing to accept it because that's what a 3-year-old does, or a 4-year-old does, or a 10-year-old does. But it also might be something really simple that you just haven't thought of yet, because none of us, myself included, can think of everything. We need community. We need our village. We need to share our ideas collectively. And this solution is always going to include removing the should from the equation, because it's not helping. It's hurting. So, what need do you have? What need do they have? And how can we problem solve to find a solution that meets both needs? That is how we change how we look at parenting. That is how we change our relationship with our kids. And that is how we kick should out of the conversation. So that's why I hate should. That is why I think should is a curse word. And if you have any other questions, I would love to hear them. You can comment down below if you are on YouTube. You can comment in our Facebook group, Empowering Moms to Uplift Kids. And you can always set up a free call with me, and we can talk about your unique situation and what you can do to make it easier and more enjoyable for you and your child. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will talk to you on a new topic next week. Bye, guys.